the Axon 7 is still relevant. Let's talk about it. Well, some of you have been asking for the Axon 8, and well, I think you're just not enjoying the Axon 7. This is a quick follow-up video on the Axon 7 to let you guys know that it's actually still relevant to me, even if we're in August of 2017 and this phone came out in June of 2016. That's a full year later, and let's just take a look at it. So the first thing I always dig into is hardware. Hardware on this phone still today can rival and beat out some of the current offerings on the market. I mean, just look at this. This phone has a metal build, and while it seems the industry has shifted only towards glass back and front, the Axon 7 still holds a very premium spot, and it's very dear to my heart. The body on this thing is all metal, except for the front grills, they're plastic, but this entire frame of this phone is actually metal. They're sticking to a design that's actually pretty safe, if you ask me, and it's actually a design that's well received by a lot of people. HTC did it with the HTC 10, and then they moved over to the glass body style. So a lot of people still want and need, or they feel they need, a metal body on a phone. So I think we have to figure out some things here and remember that the Axon 7, while it's no Axon 8 in the works yet, what if it was? I think the ZTE should stick to this design. This design right here is actually pretty beautiful. You've got that rear-mounted fingerprint reader with camera. This phone still has something that is essential to people, which is a headphone jack. The headphone jack is taken away on today's phones, and we're paying a premium price, but we're not getting what's essential to us. Now, while I don't require a headphone jack, the name Essential for the Essential phone doesn't have a headphone jack. And I think a lot of consumers would think that that's essential to have a headphone jack. So this phone still has a headphone jack, and it also still has something that a lot of people want on a device that you can't get. Today's current phones that say they have a dual speaker setup, it's actually just the earpiece on the top and then a bottom firing speaker. Well, the Axon 7 from a year ago houses those dual front firing speakers. So if in fact they were to come out with an Axon 8, I'm pretty sure the ZTE would capitalize on that. At least I would hope they would. Having this setup right here isn't just about having dual front-facing speakers. These speakers are actually the best sounding front-facing speakers that you can get on the device today, beating out every phone that I have for quality. While they're not the loudest in peak volume, they're still very loud, but they sound fantastic. This phone has features that today's current market has, and a Quad HD display is one of them. This does have a Quad HD display, and it has Type-C, it has an SD card slot, it has 4 gigs of RAM, it has 64 gigs built on storage. I mean, what more do you want? This phone is still running a Snapdragon 820, so don't shake a leg at that because it performs very well. With the stock-like experience that ZTE gives in their phones, this phone is no exception. It runs and it flies like a champ. This phone is actually running close to the latest software, which is 7.1.1. 8.0 is out, but it's not out to the masses yet. As of August of 2017, millions of phones do not have Android O. Only Nexus devices, from what I understand, and that's pretty much it. Every phone now, some phones are still releasing with 6.0, which is crazy, but they're doing it. But this phone got an update to 7.1.1, and you also still get security patches on here. This phone actually, your phone, if you haven't checked, you should have the August security patch. We're still in August, we're at the end of August, but you still should have the August security patch. My phone does. So the lower point of this phone has probably only been the rear camera for me. The front camera does fantastic for video recording, for vlogs, and the rear camera does great for video footage. But while it doesn't rival today's market for a lot of the phones that are out there, it can still hold its own for social media and pretty much all video recording that you need. But your requirements on a camera are going to be up to you. I say the Axon 7 is still relevant, will probably stay relevant until some phones do release with a metal body and dual front firing speakers with a Quad HD display at a low price point of $399. That just won't happen, folks. We've got all the phones that are coming out. We got the new iPhone, we got the Galaxy Note 8, we got the V30, we got the Mi Mix 2. We have tons of phones that are releasing with pretty much the same specs, 4 gigs, 64, different processor, but they don't have the dual speakers, they don't have the metal body. which is something that a lot of people might want over a glass phone. So if I were to drop this phone, it probably won't break on the first go round. It may be a little nicked up, but I won't have a shattered phone. Throw a case on it and keep it moving. So the Axon 7 to me is still very relevant. I think it's still a beautiful piece of hardware, and I think you still should consider this even over a year later, because the quality that you're going to get from this phone, I think it's going to shock you. Current Axon 7 users are in the know, so they know how good this phone really is. Yeah, it doesn't have the Snapdragon 835, it doesn't have the Snapdragon 821, but it has the Snapdragon 820 with 64 gigs internal storage with an SD card and 4 gigs of RAM, and this thing performs very well. So the Axon 7 should still be considered in 2017 based on the price alone, because it's very good. So it's your man Jay Will. Another follow-up on the Axon 7. What do you think about the Axon 7? Or are you waiting for an Axon 8? Take care.